Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Hi, I'm Teresa and I'm an alcoholic. I'm very excited and proud to introduce our speaker, Sharon. I have heard wonderful things about her. I will say that the men were very jealous that they were not allowed to come. And that we are in for a special treat, so thank you.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. I'm Sharon Crane, alcoholic. And it's really great to be here, and I want to thank Mike. He didn't shave his legs and put on a dress so he couldn't come, so he was threatening it, but we didn't want to go there. So we want to watch him be waxed. That would have been much more fun. So anyway, thank you very much for the invite, and Teresa, you're talking about loving yourself, and I did something loving today. I got a new bra, so I matched my outfit to my new bra. Yeah, okay, all right, Shell. But, that was something that I didn't wear them before, so I was on the day where they were burning them, but, so anyway, but it's really great to be here, and I want to thank my alcoholic table over here. It's the one with the most drinks on the table. I mean, enough cups and enough for a recycle, about $5 over there worth, I think. But so I got babies and grandbabies and friends, and Jane made my first wedding dress. She's in the room, and we've known each other since she got here in '77. And Shelley's over here. She got with her 5 years, and that look of quiet desperation has gone out her eyes. I knew her when she was coming and going and coming and going, and I was her grand sponsor, and I loved her then, but oh my God, it warmed my heart so much to see her so alive with the program of Alcoholics Anonymous today. It's been a while since I've seen her, and that's why I'm here. I already got what I need. That gave me exactly what I need today. And the 5 newcomers, I think it's Mitzi and Sophie and Renee and Mary, and is it Carrie? 5 new women here. We're really glad you're here in your first 30 days, and if you're not, we get that too. We're really... We totally get that, too. We're glad that maybe you're not, if you're right in the right room, if you're not, I don't know about this thing, But, all we ask you to do is just to, for having a brand new life, you have to give up your old life. And so you really have to let go of that old life for a while. We are, if you guys are anything like me, it will have claw marks all over it when you finally let go. I have learned how to loosen my grip in life, because I still grip it. I'm still a rebel. I'm still defiant. I'm still independent. I'm still self-sufficient. But I've learned to loosen my grip because of Alcoholics Anonymous. And you Al-Anons will appreciate this. It's like the adage, if the butterfly, the beautiful butterfly, you can't crush it because, if the glitter comes off its wings, it can't fly. So, you got to let it just kind of come and go and fly away. But if it flies away, I'm going to hunt it down and kill it. I mean, I'm also loyal to a fault. And so, and if it belongs to me, look out. If you can tell a little bit about my alcoholic personality, I definitely loved, and thank you for the food, by the way. She's cleaning it up. It's really good. Really good. Really good. You guys did a really beautiful job. And I grew up drinking in the 60s. It wasn't just say no, it was just say thanks, and we had a lot of fun, and we took a lot of stuff, and And we had a great time. And I'm a little girl from Iowa who had everything I wanted growing up, and a very free childhood, and a lot of love and a lot of education. And a couple of little things about the hallmark of me when I was small. I come from a non-alcoholic family. I have 3 non-alcoholic siblings, non-alcoholic parents, grandparents. I don't know where I came from, but, you know, I got it. And I always couldn't get enough love, my mother said, and it was always, and the old people, when I would see my grandparents and the old people, I didn't want to leave them because I was crying because I thought they'd die and I wouldn't see them again because they were old. So I was like very sensitive. I was overly sensitive as a little girl. And I always looked for the mothership. I went out into the fields and sat there and waited for the mothership to come back and get me, because I knew they left me off in Iowa and they meant to make it to California before they opened the chute. But I got kind of dropped there in Iowa, which was a resentment. And I love the movie The Lost Weekend by, you know, if you've never seen it, it's about an alcoholic and he goes through the DTs and he hides his lamp and he hides his bottle in the lamp, and the people come in the room and he's kind of looking up at the lamp nervously, and I'm a little girl going, don't look at the lamp, don't look at the lamp, you know. I hadn't even had a drink yet, but I was worried about them finding his bottle, you know, and I love that movie. Even to this day, if it's on, I got to watch it. And so there were a few little hallmark things about me growing up, and the middle child syndrome, and have to prove myself and walk in the room with my fists up, and I mean, not literally, but figuratively, I always have to, you know, one-up somebody and make my mark, and I'm still that way. But I'm on to myself. That's the beauty of Alcoholics Anonymous, is that when you're on to yourself, you can make new choices, and you can laugh at it. And it's interesting. People that know me for about 2 months, maybe in the business world or in another area other than AA, they're on to me quicker than I was ever on to me. And it's like, you know, you're very hypercritical of yourself. It's like, oh, it took me years to learn that, and you already got it, you know? And that's the beauty of sponsorship, you know. And if you're new and you don't have one, get one, because between you and you is you, and that's scary. That's scary. Between you and you are all those gerbils up there running around, all those gremlins that you feed after midnight, you know, they're multiplying, you know. Don't do it. But between you and a sponsor's air. You know, and that error is important because we can see where we can't see, you know. I can see what's going on with somebody before that, and oh yeah, maybe that, you know. That's why we need sponsors. We need guides on this path. I need people ahead of me. I need you guys. I need those of us that don't follow the glimmer of our own little candle, that we're on this broad highway together, that, you know, we're all around the campfire. That's why I love women. I mean, we need men because they build the bridges. We'd just be canoeing back and forth, you know. Hi, how's it going, you know? But the men build the bridges and compete and king of the hill and all that stuff. But we women, you know, we got our camps, and you need a little meat. Yeah, we got some meat. Come on over here. Need a little wood. Yeah, we got some. You know, the women, we have our little camps, but we share. We have this kind of common bond, maybe because we're women. Maybe it's taken hundreds of years for us to come to where we get to vote and walk into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and not be told like Sybil, who was one of the first members of AA in Southern California, you know, go sit over here. They wouldn't let her in the room with alcoholics. Finally, they did. You know, we had those pioneer women for us in our fellowship, and how Al-Anon was formed. And you know, and here we sit. We can just buy a ticket and come. Just pick up the phone and call, and they'll go, "You're a woman." You know, are you an alcoholic? And alcoholism to me is one of the most incredible equalizers I know as a disease. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you're made of. If you've got it, it will continue down the road of insanity or death. It will continue down that road. It doesn't matter who you are. So to me, I'm so grateful that in Alcoholics Anonymous that we get to sit with everybody else too. You know, we have those women that came ahead and made the way for us. And, you know, now at our big meeting on Wednesday night, we have a man's secretary and a woman's secretary. And a man's secretary, it rotates. But I remember when I was new, we weren't rotating secretaries. It was still a man, and then a woman would sneak in, you know. So, you know, we've made strides. We've made amazing strides, and I hope we continue to. And I hope that the 5 new people find exactly what I found walking into Alcoholics Anonymous, which is one alcoholic talking to another alcoholic, which is the language of the heart, which isn't theories or generalities. It's what I've learned I get to share. And I'm doing it, so I'm in the game. And I love being in the game. I love being in the middle of this thing. I was always in the middle of whatever it was, but I was a loner. I was inside a loner. And when I drank alcohol, I loved everybody. When I drank alcohol, thank God, it was the 60s, so it was... we didn't catch a lot of the things out there that could kill you, so we were just, we were having a lot of fun. And I had some goals and dreams. I was artistic. I wanted to do something with that. I wanted to make a difference in the world. I loved Gandhi. That was another thing. A little girl in Iowa loving Gandhi, and it was just kind of odd that my family was like, eat your pork, just quiet, eat your pork. Don't go off on that, just eat your pork, it's like, and I had these banty roosters, and I remember it was a 4-H project, and then they were sitting on the table, and it was like, I couldn't do it, I just, for years, I couldn't eat chicken, because that was speckles, I was way oversensitive, but when I drank alcohol, I was tough. When I drank alcohol, I was driving, Al Lovar's GTO, 115 miles an hour over the 7 hills, getting air, getting air. And I was just out drinking, having a good time, and it gave me such instant courage. And I was always on a spiritual search, and it also gave me a spiritual feeling of being omnipotent, a feeling of being God, a feeling of power. Alcohol was power for me. I loved it. It made me prettier, it made me sexier, it made me more courageous, it made me not afraid, and it made all those people in my head get down to one voice, which was, let's party. And they were all up there, yakety, 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 yak. And I was also an insomniac as a little girl. I couldn't sleep because they were there. They were under the bed, they were in the closet, they were outside the window, they were there. So I probably needed alcohol to work for me. I'm really glad it did. And, I went off to college, and I had a lot of hopes and dreams, and I had my heart broken, and then I started smoking pot, and I was drinking at Joe's place every day instead of going to class. And pretty soon those sorority pearls and black dresses got switched over for, bell bottoms and just no underwear and just freedom. It's freedom. And I found the people that liked to have a good time, and sometimes they were, disrupting a courtroom. Sometimes we were marching on Washington. Sometimes we were at the festival up in Wisconsin, the 3-day festival, music, and sometimes, but I stuck my thumb out and I went a lot of different places. And I didn't even think twice about it. Getting in a car with people I didn't know, getting in the back seat where you can't get out. I didn't think twice about any of that. And, I'm so grateful that I get to stand here in my own skin, breathing, and that my mother sleeps at night because her daughter is safe in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm so grateful. If nothing else, my mother sleeps at night because I'm in AA. She doesn't have to worry anymore. And to the 5 new women, it's not about you that you're here. And you like to think so, I'm sure, and you'll probably think so for a while, but it's about those 10 people that are breathing a little deeper now that you're sitting in here with us. It's about, those people, the example that you'll be for somebody's neighbor's daughter's cousin to come to Alcoholics Anonymous because they've seen the change in you. We don't know where the ripples land. We don't know. We are examples, whether you're watching or not, of this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I respect that, and I feel that it's something that's entrusted with each of us. And I feel the ghost of Bill and Bob. So it's like, okay, shape up. Yes, sir. And I've been doing a little bit of reading about Bill and Father Ed and their relationship of sponsorship. And it's very, very interesting that I never even questioned getting a sponsor because to me, it was something that you had to do or nobody'd speak to you in my room. It seemed like peer pressure. It was peer pressure. You had to get a sponsor. But people have gone through all of their lives in sobriety without sponsorship. I need to be accountable. I need accountability. Oh, because I never did drink in Paris. And that's cunning, baffling, powerful, and patient. That's the way my head goes. It comes at me in different ways now. It's not like, oh, I'm craving a drink, or I see the billboard, or it's a hot day, or, I want some relief. It's like, never drank in Paris, and that's... So I need a lot of bricks between me and that bottle of Jose Cuervo Gold. I need a lot of bricks between me and that bottle of vodka. I need a lot of bricks between me to knock some sense into me if I'm going that way. And one of the biggest bricks I have is accountability with my sponsor. One of the other big ones, of course, is my God, my higher power. That, if you knew you get to pick your own higher power, my first one was Beacon's Moving Van. Pick what you want, I got 2 text messages yesterday from a girl I sponsor. Beacon's truck, and that's all she has to say. And we go, yeah, there's God. God is, and whatever reminds you of God, it's good. It's a good thing because God's in charge, and I don't have to be that self-sufficient person anymore. And another one is sponsorship. I sponsor. I'm linked up. I'm hooked up, and sometimes it gets a little strong, but pulling one way or the other. But my job is to keep my links strong and shiny. That's my job, not to worry about your side of the street. Worry about my side of the street. So I have bricks between me. I put into place, hopefully, things that will knock some sense into me if I'm making my way out the door. Plus, I have a home group. I have people that recognize me and know that I'm there and know that I'm not there. I have commitments that I cover, that I show up for. So if any of those things are missing, maybe the phone will ring. Maybe someone would. So if you're new, start putting in place some of those things, one by one by one, because it keeps you in the middle of the room. It keeps you in the middle of the road. And so I don't want to know where the edge is. I don't want to keep falling that way. Oh, there's the edge. Now I know where it is. I don't want to know where the edge is. I want to stay in the middle of the pack. It's safer in the middle of the pack. I remember being on a cruise ship, and with the dolphins were following us for a long, long, long way, like an hour. They were just along, and I noticed that the strongest ones were in the front and at the back, and in the middle were all the little ones, the ones growing, or the ones that maybe weren't as big, and I just love that because it's that safety net of what we do for each other in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a we program. If I could stay sober alone and have a great life and have a God and have a spiritual awakening, and because I'm a more alcoholic, I like that spiritual stuff. Give it to me. Just give it. I love it, but you got to get it here. I'm a more alcoholic. I like that spiritual stuff, and I get it here. I get it by sitting in my meetings. I get it by hearing chapter 5. Oh, that's right, there's hope. Oh, that's right. I forget some days. I forget in my heart there's some days, or in my gut. My heart knows the way now, but my gut sometimes gets a little anxious. I don't understand the world. I used to protest about the world. I used to be pissed off about the world. I used to, peace sign and one finger. I could never decide, what personality is marching today, and it was just a way to be angry, and it was a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol and a lot of men, and we had a great time, and I felt like I had a cause, it was all wrapped around having a cause, my life got a little strange for my parents to understand, the psychiatrist couldn't help, the family doctor put me on Valium therapy couldn't help. The I'm okay, you're okay books didn't help. The going back to college and trying to go back to art school didn't help. I'm a geographic taker. I did my chapter 3. And, we women go down fast. We do. We go down fast if we're working it. We go down fast. And I did a lot of traveling in a short little few years. And I was busy. I was always looking for truth, and I was always looking for a purpose, and I was always looking for an answer, and I was always looking for something to be better over there. And every time I would get over there, I brought me with me, and that was the problem, I brought me with me. And I wasn't even from Iowa. I would be from Wisconsin if I was out in the world because it had cheese, It seemed a lot more dignified than pigs, pigs. So I would be from Wisconsin. And I would have aliases, and every once in a while at Starbucks I'll give an alias just for fun, when they, what's your name? I just don't want to tell them sometimes. Like, it's Cindy Lou, and then they'll be calling out my drink, and I'm going, where's my drink, and it's like, Cindy Lou, oh yeah, that's me, sorry, It's got to be bad where you can have a little fun, but I was always embarrassed who I was, and my chapter 3, got written from about 19 years old till 2 weeks after my 26th birthday when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, August 20th, 1975. And I'm amazed that I'm still here because I woke up a drinker. I didn't wake up wanting to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I had the gift to come to you and to stay. I had no idea. So it's a gift if you're here today. I believe that each one of us, we have a gift to give. And whatever your special gift is, find it and give it. Because we each have one. Whatever it is. We make up this room. We make up this fellowship. We make up the parts of the triangle that make the infinity of the beauty of God's love continue. We're each a part of it. And I don't want it to break with me in the link in the chain. So I take very seriously the gift that's been given to me in Alcoholics Anonymous. But I have a lot of fun. I was always have a lot of fun kind of girl, and I still have a lot of fun. But like I said, my parents and breaking their hearts and not understanding and all the geographics I took. And my chiropractor asked me, well, actually, he's my trainer, but I go to him in his office. And he said, what'd you do for your 21st birthday? Because he knows a little bit about me. He said, my first thought was, well, yeah, I was drinking at that bar long before the fake ID, so they didn't give me a drink. It wasn't like, you're 21 today? I thought you were 21 3 years ago, But I remembered I was dancing with the Krishnas down in Westwood. That was my 21st birthday. And I was in a commune, but there was a drought, so they were all pissed off because that's all I did was smoke pot. And I like to drink, but there was this drought going on, a pot, so I had got kitchen detail because I wasn't a good panhandler, and they would put me on the really hot corner in Westwood and expect me to come back with all this money, and I'd have like 2 quarters because I'm talking to people and they're buying me wine and they'd rather buy me a drink instead of I'd say, you don't want to give me any money, and they go, nah, and so I didn't have enough self-worth, I guess, to be a really good panhandler, but so. And they didn't let me drink with the commune because they didn't like the way I drank, and I drank their bong wine, and they got mad at me. And I ended up in the kitchen because I was a bad panhandler, so I got kitchen detail, and we would put all the seeds and stems in the chicken cacciatore because nothing got thrown out because it was a drought, and they were all uptight and depressed, and I'm drinking, I'm having a good time. I always drank, and so I'm drinking on the corner of Westwood on my 21st birthday and dancing with the Krishnas. And, and then when they wanted to take me away, I don't go. See, I don't go. I don't make commitments. I live a day at a time. Excuse me, I've got a book in my backpack called Be Here Now by Baba Ram Das. Be here now. I'm not going with you forever. You're not changing my name, and I'm not turning over all my worldly possessions to you. Bye-bye. Had fun dancing with you, but that's it. And that's the kind of independent person I was. And that alcohol fueled it. I don't need you. I mean, I had my heart broken, so men were to be used, really. So I'm not going to really give it up. Not in my heart. I mean, my last relationship was with a guy who had a pet skunk named Crank. And he was with the carnival when I was working with the carnival. That's another long story. I ran a shooting gallery, my joint, as they called it. And I'd hang my flash and drink my tequila, and my dog would bite you, and I wouldn't let you win. That was my fun time. But I met the guy with the skunk, right? And this is my last relationship drinking. I just want to tell you, it was 2 years, and we hated each other. We were in love for 2 weeks, and then the lust wore off, and then we were stuck in this thing together. We were... we had been busted and thrown in jail in Bogalusa, Louisiana, so we were both convicted felons together. It was no, you leave first. No, you leave first. It was just awful stuff, But by this time, I was now into black eye and knife fights and adrenaline. That was love. Adrenaline stuff. Dark stuff, the darkness. That was love. It wasn't, walking down an aisle. It wasn't going out for dinner. It was, meeting you at the Mousetrap Bar, meeting you at the Bastille. He worked on Bourbon Street. I worked on Bourbon Street. We'd ended up in the French Quarter, and that was my last relationship. And his parole officer had found out he had gotten busted in Louisiana about 2 years later, and they came and got him and extradited him back to Missouri to do some more time that he had run out from, I guess, because I know how to pick him. And he had a lot of potential. And so I'm sitting in my bar one night. I think it was the Lamplighter. I had stopped working at the nice hotel bars because I'm a drunk. I'm a 24-hour drinking, sassy, nasty, sometimes good time drunk, but most of the time you don't want to hang out with me because I'm not much fun. And my drag queen friends were drinking with me that night. They'd probably put some glitter on. They like to glitter my face up and wear my clothes, and we were talking, and they said, yeah, it's too bad, that Kirby left, and you didn't, you guys didn't talk about it. He just got yanked out of here. And yeah, it's too bad about that. And, you didn't even get to say goodbye. I thought, yeah, I'm thinking and drinking, bad combo, Yeah, that's right. I didn't get to say goodbye. Where is that son of a bitch? Sorry, was being taped. And I thought, I'm going to get, so we started talking about it. So we started packing me up, and I'm going to go up to St. Louis and find him. And so my drag queen friends are packing me up, and one dress for the box and one dress for me. I lost half my wardrobe that night. But that was okay, because I went back to a bar in the French Quarter and didn't lock my car, and I was drinking, getting ready to go to St. Louis and find the guy. I'm going to drive all night, and take some stuff to keep me up, and, might miss truth, got to take that stuff, stay awake, And then somebody took everything out of my car, so, it was less gas because the car had nothing in it anymore, so it was just... So me and Thunderbolt, you got to name those old cars, they last longer if you name them. Me and Thunderbolt got in the car and went up to St. Louis to find this guy, the knife fight, the black guy. Should have been glad he was gone. All my drinking friends, two who are now sober, one who I sponsor, were glad he was gone, and they were going, oh my God, I'm glad he's gone. And I'm thinking, I got to go find him, and he didn't even say goodbye, and I'm hanging on, this doesn't even have no claw marks yet. I haven't even done even 1 inch budge from letting go of this guy who hurt me, So I get up to St. Louis, and I don't find him right away. And I'm working 3 jobs. 3 jobs. Drinking and uppers and working and never, one night I'm driving between jobs, and there he is on a Harley. There he is. Been looking for him. And I pull up next to him, and he was surprised to see me. He was surprised to see me. And he took off his helmet, and he crashed the window. Glass everywhere, it's shattered. And he pulled me by my hair as a police car pulled up. Or it would have gotten really nasty that night. And he spit on me and said, if I ever see you again, I will kill you. And I let go of the relationship. I thought, okay. All at once, claw marks gone. I let go of the relationship. So that's the way I let go. That's me, loyal Leo, hanging on your leg, dragging me down the hallway. We're not done yet, And that's the way I was with my alcohol and my right to drink. That's the way I was. I loved my right. Don't take that away from me. Don't tell me I can't do something, too. Do not tell me that, because I will do it, and I will prove you wrong. And that was, that's how I lived in the end. And I was 170-some pounds. I was bloated. I was toxic. Had pancreatitis. I had lost my gallbladder. I remember I had splotches on my cheeks which wouldn't go away, and I looked older than I look today. I look older. Picture of me when I was 3 months sober. I have a picture of me. Nobody home yet. And I look older than I look right now. So, Alcoholics Anonymous not just cleans you up on the inside, it cleans you up a little on the outside too. And the spirit keeps you young. I think the spirit we have here of the joy, the joie de vivre, the joy of life. One more day. We are people that are doomed. Our natural state is to be messed up. And we are sober, looking good, wearing our pink, being able to taste the food, enjoying it, meeting, remembering where we, okay, I remember where I am. I could find my way out of here today, And we're greeting each other like kindred spirits, because we are. We are. If you're in the room, I know you, and you know me. And there's something extremely comforting about that, because I still don't get the world. I don't get it, and it confuses me sometimes, and I wish that things were different, and I get upset about things, but I can come into Alcoholics Anonymous and I get to hear Chapter 5 read. I get to hear there's a solution for what ails me, which is my disease of alcoholism. It quiets my mind, it quiets my stomach, it fills my heart. And there's such a power in that has nothing to do with me. Really, other than my job is to keep me out of the way. I guess that's a pretty big job. I got to keep me out of my way. And on my last drinking, I was again going somewhere else. I was beginning to have DTs that I didn't know I was having. I do remember the TV talking to me. I do remember seeing the same man sitting at the bus bench. Wherever I go, there he is. I remember having people choking me and starting awake and realizing, that was a DT. I remember not sleeping, passing out. I didn't know that I wasn't sleeping until I got sober, but I wasn't done until I was done. I'm a blackout drinker, and I ended up going to party with some people out of a bar called Barney's Beanery, and we went to Palm Springs on Harleys because I like bikes. And I remember we stopped for gas, and all the people in their shiny cars and their shiny clothes, and I'm in a sick-looking red dashiki that I still have in the back of my closet. Nenea wouldn't let me throw it out. I still have that I would stuff my alcoholic 170 pounds of bloated, toxic, dead, almost just an embryo life in there. And my Panama hat that I remember had a tie with a bandana around my head to ride the Harley out there that day. And looking at all these people and thinking, I'm free. Look at them. Not realizing what a prisoner of alcoholism I was. I just thought I get to do what I want, and they got to go pay for those cars and those houses and, rat race, and I'm free. And by the end of that night, I ended up in a blackout with people that actually really did hurt me. I had cried and bought, and my dog had bit our way out of a lot of situations just because I hitchhiked a lot. But this night, I ended up in a situation where I couldn't get out of it, and they broke my jaw in 3 places, and they broke my nose, and they took me outside of town. It was July 27th. It was desert. It was hot. It was summer. And Palm Springs was a much smaller town in 1975. And they basically just rolled me off the side of the road like a piece of trash. And, the emotions that are still tied to that, she's a sad, sorry little girl. She's not the person that lives inside of me today. I'll never forget her. She's definitely a ghost in my life. But I am not that person today. From the tip of my head to the tip of my toes, Alcoholics Anonymous has transformed me, has given me a spiritual awakening. And but I don't want to forget that defiant, sad, lonely person that was barely alive, that ended up in a terrible situation because that was my bottom. That's what got me here. That was July 27th, and on August 20th, I was living above a liquor store in West Los Angeles, sucking on red wine through where the tooth had been kicked out. My jaw is wired together. I can't talk. I have wires on my face to keep it together over here, and I'm sucking on red wine through a straw because I'm a drinker. And the guy I was living with said, you can stay here. because I know you have nowhere to go. And he had heard what had happened to me, and he drove down to Palm Springs and brought me up. He was a good Samaritan. And he would buy me the wine and go off to work, and one morning he said, "You can't stay here anymore, you're really depressing me." And I called my mother in Iowa, and my mother had known something had happened to her daughter. But my mother didn't know what hospital I was in, so for 2 nights, my sister in New York and my mother in Iowa picked up the phone and called every hospital for 2 whole days. For 2 whole nights, my mother didn't sleep right because she didn't know where her daughter was, what hospital she was in, how she was. And then they found me, and they found out my condition and found out it was going to be okay. See, I hadn't been home in a long time. I had broken my dad's heart. They saw how I lived. They didn't know how to help it. They didn't know alcoholism. And my mother says, "Sharon, I can't help you. Go to the Salvation Army." And if my mother would have sent $20 more, you'd have another speaker. So it's what Norm Alpe talks about, and we are the lucky ones. It's by seconds and inches that we get to be here, each one of us. And I ended up in an AA meeting that night. And I don't know why, and I don't question it, but the beauty of it is that I was so tired I stayed. I was just plain old tired. I was beaten up, I was tired, I couldn't touch my cheekbones for 6 months. They were so almost to the point of being shattered. I was really knocked around, and I didn't really know how much until I started to kind of come to. And the first 3 months in AA, I was wired shut. I couldn't talk. I had to learn to listen. I had no defiance going. Not much happening here, I can tell you that. And my life in Alcoholics Anonymous started without me even knowing it. Without me even knowing it. And I ended up going to a meeting that was the Pacific group. And what they did for me, I'm still in that group today. What they did for me was, I didn't know they were doing this for me. They thought, she looks tired, maybe she'll make it, let's give her a chance. Okay, she's staying above a liquor store. So the sponsor of the 2 women that picked me up said, wait for the liquor store lights to turn off before you send her upstairs. So they sat in a car with me in August with windows that didn't go down in the back. I hadn't bathed. Long time. I was detoxing, coming out of my pores. I couldn't talk. So they had to just sit there and talk incessantly about themselves, you know. All I heard was a wall of noise. But I was in the car, and the liquor store lights would turn off, and then they sent me upstairs, and I didn't know this until much later. I also didn't know that they moved me out of that liquor store, and a girl gave me a sleeping bag at a meeting one night and said, here, you're going to need this. And they had assigned somebody's floor for a week here. And they gave me a month of floors. I didn't realize what had happened until looking back on that. And I think about if I would have come to any other meeting that would have said, oh, honey, you look tired. We'll see you here next Wednesday night. You know, just hang in there. They took care of me day to day to day without me knowing it. And that's love in action. That's what we do for each other. And I say, and it's true, I don't have a car so nice that if I have a newcomer in it that wants to throw up, they can throw up in it. I hope I never, ever get to that point that I think that I can't give a ride to somebody somewhere after a meeting, or I can't pick up the phone and make sure they're getting a ride somewhere, that I can't care for somebody who maybe can't care for themselves. And they just said, don't drink and don't use in between meetings and keep coming back, and that's all I remember. That's all I remember. I remember a very nice man saying, you look tired, take off your pack and stay with us a while. I thought, how does he know? How does he know I'm tired? He invited me to AA. I hung out with a lady who had commitments and a car, and she was nice to me. And we went to all kinds of weird meetings, you know, because I obviously wasn't working, so, you know, she wasn't either. We just went around to a lot of meetings. A lot of the time she had this big white station wagon, and I couldn't sleep at night, and her name was June Ann, and we would drive around until she was out of gas, you know, and then we crashed somewhere, sometimes at her son's house, sometimes we slept in a hallway once, I remember, by her daughter's house because we couldn't get in. And she just kind of adopted me. And June Ann taught me about commitment, and I love this story because I never want to forget how Junann, God bless her, her Christmas card came back deceased quite a few years ago from Atlanta. But I got to go find her about 10 years ago and bring her pictures of my son and bring her pictures of my life and let her see me. And she put away the alcohol that day, I could tell. And, you know, she chain-smoked her cigarettes, but she was living in a hovel, and she was so happy to see me. So I got to thank her for everything she had done for me. It was so great. And I rode a Harley out there with somebody, too, so that was even fun from downtown Atlanta. But Junann had a commitment at this meeting, and they had given me cup washing, and that's how I got a sponsor. Some guy wouldn't leave me alone. He was the dryer, and told me I better get a sponsor. I get drunk, and he wouldn't leave me alone, so I got a sponsor to shut him up, you know. And Michael's dead from alcoholism, too. He was my ex-husband's first sponsor. Wow. So Junann would go and get the cookies, because that was her job. And she dropped me up at the meeting, and then, you know, I had the commitment afterwards, so we were always the beginning to end. God, can we ever go anywhere? Meetings. But I didn't say anything. You know, I couldn't talk, so I was just doing what I was supposed to do. And she went out to get the cookies like she did, and she didn't come back. And we're hanging out waiting for the cookies, you know. And it's like if there was no food today, we'd miss the food, you know. It's, you know, how we are. You want to get a bunch of alcoholics quiet, give them a plate of food. You know, it's just like, we just shut up for a minute. But she went off to get the cookies and didn't come back, and everybody just wants the cookies. And so all of a sudden, you know, this police car pulls up, and this cop is walking up the stairs to this church where we had the meeting, and John's talking to the cop and going, what's going on? And, you know, and we hear Junann's name mentioned, and so we're like all listening, and the cop was kind of hanging around, and he says, yeah, she went and, I guess, bought some cookies and then went back in the store afterwards and shoplifted these candy bars. And she got caught, and they called me, and I got to take her in, and she's in the car. But she made me promise to stop and bring these cookies to you guys. So I thought, you know, that's commitment. And those are my teachers. No matter what, you have a commitment, it gets covered. So she covered it. She did a good job. These are my teachers in AA. And another big lesson for me in my first year was a man named Chuck Nesbitt came up to me, and he saw that I was keeping a list. Because I'm a scorekeeper. I don't want to owe you anything. I'm going to pay you back before I leave. You know, you gave me some nice clothes when I started my first job. Okay, you know, you gave me... Actually, they were closed for court. I had to go back to this whole big thing in Palm Springs, this whole big court thing. Because I was a victim of violent crime, and I was glad I wasn't very emotional then. I was pretty dead, which was good. I got through it. But, and people had given me places to stay. People had given me money. People had given me rides. And Chuck walked up to me as I was writing. Maybe somebody gave me a pack of cigarettes, you know, wrote down their name and pack of cigarettes. And he saw what happened, and he didn't even need to really read the book. He said, Sharon, put that away. He said, you know, someday you're going to have a couch where someone can stay on for a while. Someday you're going to have a car and you'll be able to give rides. Someday you're going to be able to give somebody some clothes because they're starting a new job, and you'll be able to have them in the nice hanger bags. So you can give them after a meeting and make no big deal about it. Just give it to them. That's the way we want to be paid back. You pass it on. Pass it on. Put the list away of who did for you what. You pass it on when it's needed. And he gave me some dignity that night. And those are the people that I was around when I was new in AA, were the old-timers that took the time to give me those little lessons of love. I don't really remember a lot of what was said in my first year, but I remember the lessons of care and love and that language of the heart. Just a little action of love made all the difference, an action of care. I met Boy Meets Girl in AA campus, and that's why I think of Jane and her little dog Drifter when she got here, and she was in love with that little dog. It was like Jane. Every time you talk to Jane, it was like Jane, her dog Drifter. You know, it's just. And I had big issues around pets because I had, you know, my turtle crawled through my white powder and didn't make it. But he had a little smile on his face, so he had. I had dogs that had been hit by cars. I had heat stroke because I forgot to give them water, tied up outside the bar. I just had horror stories of pets biting it. So I was still like, oh, you know, I knew that I heard amends, and I knew Animal Kingdom, and it's going to come, you know. going to come. So I liked her dog, but it was just like he'd look at me like, I know what you did to the other ones, So God bless Drifter. He gave me a little guilt, it was good. But I got together with this guy, and he was very involved in AA, and I was very involved in AA. And at 2.5 years of sobriety, my father came out and walked me down the aisle. And I got to tell you, my dad and I had not had a good relationship for many years. I told my father exactly why I was the way I was. I told my dad in detail too many things that he should not know about his little daughter. And my dad and I had a parting of the ways, and we didn't lock eyes anymore. And when I was home, we didn't talk. And if I was in the room, he wouldn't come in because it was too painful. So that was me and Dad. I was the little girl that broke his heart. So by 2.5 years of sobriety, I had been home. I had made my amends. It was a start. My dad just said he always wanted me to be happy. I went home maybe twice a year for a while to Iowa to see them. I went home to spend time with them. I called them on the phone once a week. I tried to be a good daughter. It was very strained with me and Dad. But he came out and walked me down the aisle and went to an AA meeting and bought the big book and loved everybody. He just thought, Sharon, look at your life. You got it made. If you think about doing what you were doing before, think twice. And my father gave me some approval, which was really nice. It was because of Alcoholics Anonymous and that he saw I was okay. I think he thought, well, it's 2.5 years. Maybe she'll hang in there with this thing then. But he liked you guys. He liked what we had. He felt the fellowship. I mean, my parents, they have spirit. They have a sense of God. They've, good people share whatever. If you're hungry, you could come sit at our table. That's just the kind of people they were. And so he kind of got it. He liked it. And, I got this other sponsor when I was 5, and Ginny had me call my dad up. I had a better job. I started working a better job and making more money, and my second sponsor had me call up my dad and ask him if I can pay him back the money I owed him, because I took cars. They would come home, and I would be in another state, but they would come home and a car would be gone, and, later on they would find out that I had it. And things like I would go charge where my dad had charge accounts and then go sell the stuff, I would take money if there was money. I was a taker with my family. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, I've rubbed out the record, as Chuck C. said, because of good sponsorship, good direction, and I did call my dad and ask him if I could pay him back, and he said, sure. And he gave me a figure, because he had read the big book. And he knew I'd get there if I stayed sober. My mom said the calculator tape was in there circled in red with a bottom line figure in case I called and she was home and my dad wasn't. So my father, the Capricorn, was waiting. And so without any further resentment, my sponsor laughed and had me call him to see if he'd accept my terms, and he did accept my terms, monthly terms of paying him back. And she said, Sharon, now this is a good sponsor. I'm backed in a corner. I have nowhere to go. I've already made the commitment to my dad. I've made the phone call. She knows I can make the money every month. She knows the job I have. She knows I can do it. So I'm backed in a corner. I'm ready to go. And she says she wants one more thing. They wait for you to get vulnerable backed in a corner and you can't get out, and they want one more thing. They bring up something that doesn't even have anything to do with what you're talking about, It's a good sponsor. She said, are you willing to grow through this with your dad? All right, let me out of the corner. Sure, whatever. I'm willing to grow through this with your dad. She said, put that check, that cold hard cash, put a little note about your life. Don't send it alone in an envelope. So I did that, and it was short of 5 years, about 3 months of my dad getting the check and the note on time. And when I called him, he called me between Christmas and New Year's that year. So it would have been 4 years and 9 months of doing this. And he said, Merry Christmas. I don't want your money anymore, but don't stop sending me your notes. And if my sponsor would have said, do you want to have a guilt-free relationship with your dad for the rest of his years? I would have said, it's not possible. Are you willing to heal with your father? I would have said, oh, come on. She said, are you willing to grow through this? I could understand that. I understand growth. Growth, the pain of growth, if you can hang in there, the new view is so beautiful when that door swings open. And you realize, oh, good, I'm out of the hallway. Life is just a lot of hallways. It really is. And so if you're in the new view and you're sitting in the field of wildflowers and the sun is out and everything's beautiful, enjoy it, because you'll be in another hallway again. It's life. People do this. Normal people just go through it, but we're like a little more emotional. Normal people just walk down the middle of the hallway and there's a door we go through, and we're like, we're bouncing off one side and readjusting and bouncing off the other side, and we're bruising our shoulders. But for alcoholics with those intense emotions, all we got to bring it in is about 1 inch, and it gives us we still get all of this emotion without hurting yourself, So if you're alcoholic, we can still have that intensity, but we don't have to hurt ourselves with it anymore, And the normal people just walk down the middle, But we get all of this realm of, we get more hues in the rainbow, so to speak, So it's okay to still have a fun, amazing life, But it's about amends. It's about being an example of this program. It's about that my dad got to see his daughter be okay. My dad and my mom got to come out and be my parents when I went through a messy divorce at 10 years of sobriety, because the record was clean. What do parents want to do when their daughter is hurting or their son is hurting? We want to go help. We want to be there. They were able to be there because of the record was clean. By the time this happened, when my car died, my dad got to call me 2 days later and say, we're driving a car out for you. That would not have been possible had I not done those 4 years and 9 months of amends with him and cleaned it up. He got to be my dad. He was free to be my dad. It wasn't about me at all. I think of that. I think of the power of that he got to be free to be my dad when his daughter was in trouble. Instead of going, it just can't drive her one out, because, all of that past. The past was clean. It was evened up. And that, to me, is such the power of what we have here. That the ripples, you get to see the ripples hit every once in a while, and you get to see the lives that are affected. Because we're self-absorbed, self-obsessed people, and the whole point of Alcoholics Anonymous is coming together is I get to look in your eyes. I get to see the miracle happening for you. I don't see it happening for me. I don't wake up in the morning and, I think I'll work on jealousy today, I got to kind of be ground down a bit, You don't have to throw me out of the car anymore. I get it, It's like, no, seat's locked and seatbelt's on. I get it, But I still have to have some pain to grow and change, But the beauty of what happens here is we become of God's love and God's joy. We become joy. Even in the pain, there's the joy of the fellowship. There's the joy of our God. There's the joy of there's a solution for my disease. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm okay. Right now I'm okay. God is. Deep down inside, I know. Deep down inside, it's always been there. We just get to throw a lot of kindling and firewood on it when we come to meetings or work with each other or see the light go on in the newcomer's eyes. See that step working, see the families brought back together, see the healing happen. I'm glad I went through that messy divorce because we weren't fit anymore. That door opened, and I've never really looked back. It was 1 year, 1 month, and about 18 days, but who's counting, In the hallway, ticking it off, Where's mine? Where's mine? But I didn't leave AA. I was really mad at you. I was really mad at you because, I was betrayed. That's a big one for a Leo. And he, they were messing around, him and that new girl, without me knowing it. And everybody else knew it, and why didn't somebody tell me? And I had this new baby boy, and I was really upset. And I wasn't very nice for about a year, but I hung in there, and nobody got my seat, nobody got my commitment. Watch me suffer. And a lady named Pat Hodges, who had a lot of effect on my life a couple of times. But this time she walked by me and she said, look, she was with a new girl. She said, look at Sharon, she's got 10 years. Do you want what she's got? And I heard her. And, I got Clancy as a sponsor because my sponsor smoked pot, and I was very panicked. And I ended up at his house, and he's been louder than my head ever since. He said, let's try. And that was that's 21 years ago. We're still trying. I'm still accountable to him. I still call him every week. He's got his, the spark in his eye and the lilt in his step of Alcoholics Anonymous, and alive with the joy of it. He's still digging it. I like that at almost 48 and a half years of sobriety. I hope that if I ever get to be that old in Alcoholics Anonymous, I still have the joy of it in my step and in my eyes. Because I know how to do time. And I don't want to do time here. You don't have to. So my life rocketed, and it's been amazing. I had to get a new career. I started sponsoring a lot more women. There's women in here that know so much about me, and I know so much about them, and it brings us... I sincerely see God in their lives. I see God working, and it's like... and I'm not even envious. It's just like I just feel so privileged to be able to touch it. Wherever you find God, you go there. I find God working with others. I find God in my dog's eyes. I find God in my cat's eyes. I find God in your eyes. I find God when the light goes on. I find God when I hear chapter 5. I find God when I'm walking down the street and I get a smile from somebody who needs a smile. It doesn't rain on the, Chuck C. said, it rains on the just and the unjust. It's not my job to judge who gets it. I'm supposed to wake up and be a maximum service to God and the people about me. Period. So if somebody needs it, I'm supposed to be aware to help. That's all. And not ask you for your resume and if you work a good program or if you're a good person. If you need it, I'm just supposed to help. And that's it. It makes me feel like one of his kids helping other kids, and that's a real innocent, beautiful place to live. I've been married a year. Casey and I went out for a long time, like 18, I think. And then we moved in together. It took us, I had to be sure. And we eloped a year ago to Vegas, and my son, who was 21, walked me down the aisle. He's a great kid. The ex-husband, we don't quite know where he is, do we, Jane? We don't quite know where he is. We don't quite know what he's up to. He moved on from that second wife, and since my sponsor demanded I walk through dignity and grace so I can be an example to others, he said very loudly one night. I heard him. She told me she knew that when he left her for someone else that she could walk through it with dignity and grace because of me. So it's none of my business who gets my example. None of my business. And we do Mother's Day together with our kids. She's got a boy who's graduating from high school. We are very close. And he's moved on to somewhere. We don't know, But the beauty of it is my son is 22 now, and he's following his dream, and he's a great kid. And he was raised at the yard, and he was raised, with coming to like conventions and sitting in the back with his Game Boy, or I'd have to drag him on a plane with me, or come in a car and play with the AA kids, and he's compassionate, and he's got life in his eyes, and he wants to do something for the world. So it's doesn't have a whole lot to do with me other than I'm on him. I'm on him. I'm a mom that's on him. He doesn't get to lighten up very much. But that's what a single mom does in this world, I think. I think that's what a single mom does. And but he grew up around all you AA folks, and he's a beautiful child, and I thank you for that. I thank you for that. I want to share just one more thing. I want to let you know my mom is moving from Iowa to Wisconsin May 1st, so I will be from Wisconsin finally. And her program up there, my brother is the caretaker, and he's going to take care of her. She's got a great place to go, and it's hard. It's huge. It's huge. She's been from Iowa her whole life. My dad was killed, to be 8 years ago, last Thursday, on a beautiful day on his land. Tractor went over on him, and I miss him every day, but he's right here because there was nothing. Yeah, there was a lot of more conversations, but there was nothing. There was not the guilt or the pain holding us apart. So, and I was talking up here actually, and this girl came up to me after the meeting, and I let the room know that my dad 12-stepped the town drunk because I was the example of Alcoholics Anonymous. That's all. The town drunk came to him to complain. My dad said, I think you're an alcoholic. It's not my daughter. You need to go to AA. And the girl came up to me after the meeting and wanted to talk to me and stayed. And she said, what is that man's name? And I told her, and he's from Mount Vernon, Iowa. That's where my dad was from. And she said, he's still sober. And my dad had been dead a couple of years when I told this story. She said, my uncle's still sober. And I went home for a family reunion a few years ago, and that uncle 12-stepped me, and now I have 2 years. So you just don't know where your example is going to lead. You have no idea where the ripples are going to hit most of the time. And when you get to have it come back and give you that kiss of God, you see what an amazing life we have. I just have to always remember that the life I have today belongs to you, and I honor that. I honor you. I honor Alcoholics Anonymous. I honor us beautiful women sitting here in recovery. I honor that we get to pass it on, the language of the heart. I used to think freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose, and I know. Freedom is getting my pardon in the mail for fun and for free by one of those New Orleans girls I used to drink with who went back and became a lawyer and is sober 23 years. Freedom is having my son who's never seen his mom drunk. Freedom is letting my mother sleep through the night, not worrying about me. Freedom is knowing my dad is right here. Freedom is seeing the table here of the women that I love and what they do and how they pass it on, and seeing the people come alive and the new people in the room and people I've known and loved all my life. I feel so secure and safe and loved with you. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.